Hello and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4. Today we're going to be playing as Bulgaria and getting the Master Puppeteer achievement. So, let's go straight for it. Boris III in 1936. Iron Man, historical, let's go. So before we begin, we better take a look at the achievement first and see what it's about. Master Puppeteer. As Bulgaria, complete the focus, the fate of the Balkans while having 5 or more Balkan puppets. The wording would have you believe that you have to have 5 Balkan puppets and then take the focus, but if you actually look at it, it doesn't require that at all. All you have to do is have completed the focus, the fate of the Balkans, and have puppets in the Balkan region. Most importantly, this includes the divided Yugoslavian kingdoms and such. That is going to be the simplest way for us to get this achievement. Heading straight in with power to the Tsar. But I don't have faith in Boris lasting the entire game. Research set, 5 speed on, and off we go. So playing as Bulgaria, you do also have some problems to deal with. These include the second national catastrophe, which most importantly is losing us weekly stability, army restrictions, which basically means we're not allowed to have an army, and the IMRO, which is destroying our political power gain. We'll cross these bridges when we come to them. Now that the Tsar has been powered, we can move on to the next focus, the Tsar's regime. In time, we will have to start dealing with the problems within our country, but that is a future me's problem, so I'm not going to worry about it. We've saved up 150 political power, which is what I was aiming to do so that we can get our first advisor, the democratic reformer. We're going to need that democratic support in the future. In the meantime, let's continue down the focus tree with promote Bulgarian nationalism. But now that we have that advisor, we can finally start moving onto the faction management system. For those who didn't know, Bulgaria with its new focus tree came with a whole new faction system where you effectively have to decide whether you want to ally the various people or destroy them. For the most part, I like to ally them because you get some political advisors if you go with them. More friends is more yay. To do our next focus, the illusions of a non-partisan system, we need 20% support for the DP, which is going to take a little bit. So in the meantime, we have to do something else. I think our best bet is to cooperate with the Zveno, because if we don't, they are going to stage a coup in our country. In other news, partial mobilisation. Taking Condemn the Macedonian organisation gets us some good bonuses for all of our factions as well. I will repeat that as all of this is going on, I'm continuing to go down the agrarian organisation and get them into our group. The Bulgarian government condemns the IMRO. Yes, they're not our friends. But with that, what we can do is get the illusions of a non-partisan system. Boris is in charge, he's just, cosplaying being a Democrat. While this is going on, I guess we can start on getting rid of the IMRO. Okay, it's heading towards the end of 1936 and we managed to get illusions of a non-partisan system, which is good because all of those decisions we're getting are now only 10 pp instead of 20. And we're heading towards a plot against Boris, which is kind of important for everything we're doing. Oh, and finally we can get one of these unions into our faction system integration stuffy majiggy, let's do it. While the liberalisation of trade policies is going on, I'm going to very quickly go over to the United Kingdom and just make sure that this is going to stay high. Hooray, the agrarians are on our side, with a massive load of PP to boot. With that political power, I think we'll get rid of the democratic reformer and stick the agrarian union leader on. If you're wondering if most of Bulgaria is staring, looking at this faction screen, you're right, that's what I'm doing. I'm just sat here, staring at the faction screen. Our plot against Boris is done, and that means with a little political power, we can persuade the agrarian union members to join us. This is why we wanted to integrate them earlier, like so. And with that, the United Kingdom has agreed to our independence, which hopefully means we won't be attacked until we form a faction. So hopefully that also means I can get away with causing a little world tension. So with Bulgarian irredentism, we should get more weekly stability and weekly war support, which is kind of really powerful when you think about it. These stats should be going way up once we're done. Despite everything we're doing, we still have army restrictions, which means there's no army, which isn't too much of an issue because we're not really going to have a major war. Since we're here, let's approach Germany so we have another friend. In other news, I'm going to draw up a plan for regicide, because we should never fall behind on that. Right, with all of this basically done and us just waiting on our plot against Boris, we need to get rid of the army restrictions. And the way we do that is by negotiating the Bulgarian rearmament. Notice my non-aggression pact with the UK and Germany, making friends on all sides. Because of the focus we took with Germany, we can apparently demand our historical claims. So I'm wondering, if something goes wrong with Romania, can we just ask? There's no point us doing it there, we should get them normally, he says. It would be far better to just, well, execute our plan, right? The integration of the Zveno has begun. While shopping for manpower, we can take paramilitary organisations to get 500 weekly manpower. It's nothing to be snuffed at. I think it could be worth it. That's 2,000 manpower a month. While we're at it, we better properly execute the plan this time. The Tsar is dead. Oh no. Anyway, in his stead, we've got Georgie, who appears to be one of the worst leaders in the game. He's just killing my political power gain. What a terrible man. But the Zveno has given us political power back. We can now demonstrate our policies of peace, imprison some socialists, and the purchasing of equipment. Now the one of these that I keep doing on loop is the British aircraft one, because you can get 40 fighters for 1 civ, and you do this every, 90 days? So this is, quite a few planes a year. Our number one priority is getting rid of Georgie, and so to do that we can either pick between the previous Tsar of Bulgaria or a small child. I'm going to be logical and not pick the small child. Tsar Ferdinand has returned. He might have failed the first Great War, but by God I hope he doesn't fail this. Before we continue though, we need to negotiate our rearmament, so we can actually have an army. In the meantime, let's get this focus done. The first part of the achievement, the fate of the Balkans. Goodbye, socialists. With that, I think we'll get our ambitious negotiator, and for the rest of it, we're just going to save our political power, because we're going to need it for the fate of the Balkans. Oh, the United Kingdom lifts our army restrictions. We can build an army. I thought the day would never come, and the fate of the Balkans begins. So, here is the crux of how we get the achievement. This massive decisions list. The key is that we basically want Yugoslavia to say no, and using all of our friends in the Balkans, we gobble them up. And that's the key point. Now the important thing to remember is, there's no point going after Albania, because Italy's going to eat them anyway, and if you're going after Greece, make sure you're only in your faction. Don't puppet them, because if you puppet them, Italy will declare war on Greece, and then you're at war with the Axis. It's just not worth it. So we'll just forget Albania exists, and the 3 people we're going to worry about is Greece, Turkey, and Romania. Romania being the number 1. We're losing 0.01 political power a day. I don't think I've seen such a small amount being lost. With the army restrictions lifted, we can now move down to reorganise the military industry, which is most important because it gives us rebuild the army, giving us population recruitable factor and just straight up recruitable population. More men is more good. I can tell you that our first division is being trained. What a glorious day for Bulgaria. Okay, it's time to find out whether anybody wants to join. So, let's start with Greece. They said yes. So this is good because it means we've got them as an ally to call into a war, but just don't puppet them. The subjugation is not worth it. The next one is the most important one. It's Romania. Let's do a little bit of praying. Oh, they said no. And lastly, let's try with Turkey. There's still hope if there's Turkey. Turkey said no. So, in order to win this, it's going to be a little more difficult than I first thought. Not impossible, just difficult. So while things may have seemed lost because the war against Yugoslavia is going to be pretty nightmarish, there is still some hope. You see, those ultimatum decisions, they're not actually a fire only once. You can take them once every year. So it means there is a second chance. I just have to wait a year, ask them again, and then hopefully we can go after Yugoslavia. So for now, it's just a waiting game. To prove this, the influence decisions have now come back, and these actually stack, so the more you do them, the better chance you'll have the next time, which is exactly why we're going to do them again. Nationalist propaganda gives us more weekly manpower, and frankly more manpower means more of an army, and the army we can threaten against Romania, so we're going to have to do it. I do believe World War II is starting. Yep, that looks like World War II to me. After some time we can now get the focus Prussia of the Balkans, which effectively makes you a powerhouse of a nation. Yeah, that's definitely World War II that's happening right there. Still, that's none of my business. It's so small to see because of the other things, but there it is, Prussia of the Balkans. I think the biggest part is the recruitable population factor and the non-core manpower, but I will say the fact that all new generals have +1 everything is pretty decent as well. So, the ultimatum to the Kingdom of Romania is back. We have 2 chances at this, one with Romania and one with Turkey. We flip the coin and hopefully we get lucky. And this time, they accepted. Basically that's really all we hopefully should need, because their army should be strong enough against Yugoslavia. They're also the only people guaranteeing them. I was kind of having faith on that alone. And thanks to all of our national spirits, it's 2 political power for 10 days on southern Serbia. So that should be pretty quick. And we're straight into the war. Calling Romania and calling Greece. The key point is I'm a little bit worried about Romania stealing things from me. Oh, we are definitely pushing in the south, there's no doubt about that. So let's see if Romania wants to be subjugated. Oh, they said no. As you can see, this decision also becomes available again in a year. Despite the fact we have no manpower, we're actually doing pretty okay. Pushing in the south? Not too bad. Well, when I wasn't looking, it appears the Greeks have navally invaded near Macedonia. My goodness. Good for Greece. Don't mind me casually pushing through. It's a long way to get to Belgrade. It's a long way to go. Okay, so Italy has just started their focus for a war on Greece. I'm hoping we can get this war done before then and the achievement settled. But if not, I think I'm just going to kick Greece out of the faction. I do think that's the best course of action. Okay. Goodness me, a peace deal, a peace conference. Not something I expected, but something I deserve. So, what's the key point? Well, it could just be as simple as puppeting them right there, for starters, and locking Romania out of most of the points. They don't even want anything. So that could be one puppet. Greece is out, and I'm guessing Turkey's going to be out. Which means we can do some satellites. So let's go with Transylvania and Herzegovina and Kosovo. Let's go Slovenia, Croatia and Montenegro. Now if we click Serbia, it does that, which isn't quite what I'm going for. So my thought process is, so let's do that, and then let's liberate to Serbia, ? I guess worst case scenario, we can just go to war with Serbia and annex them. What's that achievement in the bottom left I see? I don't believe it. It looks like Border Gore is the way to victory. Oh, and the United Kingdom just stole Albania from under my nose. Brilliant. Well, there we go. Oh look, the fate of the Balkans decisions also work with all the independent little countries. Now that I didn't know. Goodness me, this is a learning video if I've ever seen it. Well, thank you very much for watching with me. That was an achievement. Not too much war involved, so pretty simple for you to do for yourself. You just need to go to war with Yugoslavia and Balkanize it like I've done here. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Not quite a Byzantium, but never mind, that can always come next time. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.